I want us to take a look at this because as part of our mission, which is a collaboration we have with Star Ghana, we'll be looking at the absence of washrooms and toilet facilities in basic schools in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region. And this is pushing young girls away from the classroom. It's a big issue. Now, despite national effort at providing a decent environment for these girls, many areas remain challenged. Let's watch this. There's a report by Komladum that some girls miss 3 to 5 days of school within a week at the Saida Islamic Primary School due to menstruation. And it's a big issue. Let's watch the story. I'll have some brief 1-minute comments from there, and then we'll go to the main issues.
Classroom by day, animal pen by night. This is the Saida Islamic Primary School in Salaga in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region. It is one of those mornings where pupils have to spend hours sweeping animal droppings.
During the rainy season and it rains, stray animals run into the shed. They come and defecate. In the morning when the children come, they cannot use the class. We have to look for water. They will tidy the class before they can sit in. Mentally challenged people, they see it as an abort for them to pass the night.
Head teacher Haruna Rufai has to contend with absenteeism and lateness.
The children have to carry the furniture back. Some of the learners come to school late. Some of them will dodge, knowing very well that they will be carrying the furniture back into the tray-clouded classroom.
For the few girls whose parents have allowed them to stay in school, they have to miss classes whenever it's time for menstruation. Rashida Zakaria is one of them.
We didn't have washing room and toilet room. I am doing menses. I cannot come school. We are appealing for the toilet room and washing room so that we can come to school.
Usman Rahima is another.
We don't have a urinal pit. That is washroom for teachers, for the learners. So some of the girls who are matured, when they are in their menstrual distance, they find it very difficult. As I'm saying, there used to be a urinal pit, but it has collapsed.
The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, says 9 out of 10 girls miss school during their menstrual period globally. 20% of the girls aged 15 and 19 are facing this challenge. In Ghana, a further 26% of public basic schools do not have access to toilets. Data from the Education Management Information Systems (EMIS) 2020 indicate 25% of public basic schools lack access to water. 46% lack basic hand washing facilities. Girl Child Officer at the East Gonja Municipal Education Directorate, Paulina Atta, wants more investment in toilet infrastructure for the pupils in schools across the municipality. A cost average between 11 cedis and 15 cedis, or an equivalence of 96 to 99 cents per pack of sanitary towel, is definitely a luxury item for many of these girls and their families. As long as the cost continues to rise and toilet facilities and decent washrooms remain absent in Saida Islamic Primary School, the girls would continue to miss between 3 to 5 school days. And achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which targets inclusive and equitable quality education, promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all, equal access for all, elimination of gender disparities, and ensure access by 2030 will remain a distant dream.
Now that's the issue. And Pius, how do we bridge some of this gap?
Well, thank you very much, Roland. Whilst at it and commending TV3, this I'm told is in the East Gonja district. Allow me to use the opportunity to municipality to express our sympathies to the people of the Gonja land on the demise of the overlord and the beautiful funeral that is being organized. Our condolences are with them, and I appreciate the seamless manner in which the issues that border on chieftaincy are being dealt with within the Gonja fraternity. I understand that former President Mr. Mahama was conspicuously missing at the funeral, the 7-day funeral. I'm sure he's busy in Nigeria observing the Nigerian elections. Okay. But this is an important work by TV3, and you must be commended. I have always maintained that education should be treated as a national rather than a partisan and a political issue, because education is a leveler. It is education that puts me on the same table with Mr. Bernard Mona and Mr. Eduji Tamoklo. Otherwise, why would a small boy from Akosombo, where he stayed all his life and went to school and taught in Akobuman Secondary School, why would I be doing on a national platform such as this, but for education? And I am excited that successive governments have attempted to resolve the challenge of education. And I am particularly excited that I belong in the current dispensation where, without a doubt, increased attention and focus is being paid on education. But it is just like all other aspects of our life. It is a process and not an event. Okay. We can only encourage the state to do more. But Roland, there's an important matter I want to bring to the fore. The utilization of the MP's allocation of their common fund and their allocation for the GET fund. Because we know that every quarter, members of parliament receive some support, some monies from the GET fund. And in those constituencies that the MPs are up to task, some of these things, the MPs intervene directly. I think that we shift all the attempts, whether MPP or NDC, the focus appears to be very much on the central administration, and that is important. I don't fault anybody for putting their focus there, but let's take a moment and also encourage our members of parliament to consider some of these, because look, these are young ladies who are asking for just but washroom, and how much should it cost? It's an indictment on us that in this day and age we'll be hearing of such stories. We think that this should be a wake-up call. We should do more, even in the face of what is being done. Free SHS, free BEC. I mean, the basic level is free, but there are challenges. The school facilities and even the classroom and all of those. We need to apply ourselves some more. And that's why it's gratifying to note that year on year, allocation to education continues to increase. And now focus is also being paid on technical and vocational education. But I think that we must commend the media houses that will take up these social issues and amplify them so that they can get to the attention of duty bearers to ensure a quick resolution of these challenges.
We also have to say that it's a continuum, because you start and then others also continue. Bernard, do you want to say just some 30 seconds on this, then we can go?
Certainly, good morning to Pius, the prospective candidate for Sojamai that my lawyer wants to disturb this morning, knowing very well that by law...
He's hiding the fact that he's from Afife.
No, he's never... Why do you want to put sand in your brother's garden?
No, but all throughout, he's not saying that he's from Afife.
No, he is... he's contesting in Sojamai.
Oh, okay.
Is that a criminal? Then I will come and you file a case in court. Otherwise, he's allowed to contest. Good morning to my counsel.
I think we need some champagne here.
Why?
The man is 50 years and he's here.
Today?
I am your oldest boy.
29 February. I mean, we need to interrogate that.
In 1973, they couldn't have been 29.
Today today happens to be his 50th year.
In 1917.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. And then, in fact, I'm half 100 years, so that's great.
You're half a century.
Half 100 years.
I'm sure that's why you didn't wear the Che Guevara.
No, because if you recall, in the past days, I've been with P.L. Lumumba to Sankana, to Kwekura. We were up in the Danjua Festival. We took advantage to go to a school, a small school in the northern region called the Savannah International Academy, where he interacted with pupils and parents there. From there, we went to Sankana, where he was enskined the warrior king of Africa. Then we attended the Almighty Danjua Festival on Saturday in the Upper East region. On Sunday, we had to return for him to go back to. And so within that period, I've been very busy. And so I think in the course of that, my beret moved into one car. And that's why Pius is safe this morning.
No, but this is fine. Honestly, you look better in the Northern Fugu.
Are we done with the education? So that
You've not asked me any questions.
I wanted you to talk on it.
Well, I have maintained time without number that when I see these things, it just reminds me of my background. A background where the location of my classroom was determined by the nature of the weather, where I sat under an akia tree, and anytime the sun moved to this direction, the blackboard or a piece of wood that was considered blackboard also had to move. If it was, in fact, it started to form clouds, we were excited as young kids not to go to school because then it means that there is no class for you. And when the weather became even hazy, it was impossible for you to attend classes. So when I see these things, it just reminds me of the difficult backgrounds that most of us have been through, and yet we find ourselves on platforms like this. Education, indeed, is a leveler, and by that we've been able to come this far. From where I sit and what I see, you see, this is like a school in the bush, and you can see that as it rains, those of us who know reptiles in particular, snakes and others, they want to move away from the coldness of the weather, and then they begin to move into these classrooms. And sometimes if you are not lucky, you go in the morning and you want to sweep, and then on top of the table or something, there is a reptile. Sometimes it's scary, and that can scare the life out of somebody whose education is collapsed at that moment. So it is worrying that we continue to have. Look at the washroom, or so to speak, that they attend. Obviously, in the bush, it is made up of.
Is that their washroom?
Yes, it's made up of grass, and so you can just go there and be confronted by a cobra, and then it becomes a difficult thing altogether. There is no what we call it, door to it, and everybody can walk in. Anything two can walk in. And so when you see these things like this, it just reminds me of the circumstances, particularly of people of the North, that reluctantly education strolled. Just about 100 years that education was in the South. After 100 years, education reluctantly got up to the North, and this expansion took place under Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And so majority of us think that without Nkrumah's expansion of the frontiers of education, probably would not have been here. Several years after Nkrumah, it appears that the concentration of pushing development up north is limited to political decisions and not based on the need to develop the area. And that also inhibits the progress of most of these communities. And I think this is exactly what I'm talking about, school and the tree, where the location of the classroom is determined. And so I still want to commend TV3 for a good job done exposing the kind of education we have. If you have this and then they come and tell you that they are giving one laptop per student, and you look at the school environment, it will tell you whether that laptop per student is actually the first thing we should be looking at. If you look at this and then they are telling you that they are going to give a teacher one laptop, and the community is without electricity, then you begin to ask yourself whether indeed we have done proper diagnosis of the problems that confront us within the education sector. And so whilst we are looking at all this, it is important that we keep an eye. These pupils that you have seen, they'll be writing BEC, and the exam questions will be set standard. they will be expected to perform very well, irrespective of the circumstances. And when they finish writing their exams and they get an aggregate 30, aggregate 40, we have a system that says that when you get aggregate 30, you are not qualified to do science, right? When you have aggregate 28, they will select the best. And in selecting the best, you don't factor conditions like this into so that you can do the selection. So at the end of the day, it appears that rural students, people who sit on the floor, people who have no classrooms, people who virtually get a teacher, will be denied despite that they, on their own, have been able to make some significant grades. And I think that it was KNUST some years past that decided that they will go into the rural communities and pick some of these students and put them into some courses. And when they started, they realized that these persons with poor grades at the basic level turn out to be the best students going forward, because now they were exposed to the many quality ways of teachings and they could catch up easily. So I think that we should find a way that we can integrate poor communities and their students into the high stream schools, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to get the quality of education that we are looking for.
It's only fair that I wish my client who doesn't pay a 50th birthday and one of our excellent communicators, Stephen Dorpo, a happy birthday. That's said. You see,
Dorpo.
Yeah, Stephen. One
not
of
William.
No, William. I think that said. I am disappointed that this morning there was a very simple issue of education. And watching the video, what I see, young ladies or, having to, their usual monthly periods, having to struggle to where to have this. And we're having this conversation at a time where some people claim they have invested so much in educational infrastructure. I recall vividly watching this video, how these young people struggle even to get sanitary pads for no offense, for no crime. Because today, we have a situation where this rather useless government that has claimed that they want to take taxes off sanitary pads, today have made it extremely expensive for our young ladies to get that opportunity, that benefit, for no crime, just because of nature. I think we can make things a bit more easier for the people in this country. And watching this video, I am so sad. What exactly is their crime? So I need to, as it were, commend your media house for this initiative. What actually destroys some of these neglects is throwing light on it. And I'm very confident that some corporations may, as part of their corporate social responsibility, take up the initiative of possibly providing them very good washrooms, among others. Roland, I think that this video, send it to get fund. Do a proposal together with it to get fund. So that instead of building a war college, possibly this is what we need. People, because these things build your confidence. Imagine going into that Taj house. That is where you are able to dress yourself up. I mean, what crime?
And being confronted by...
And it kills your confidence level. And we are talking about 2023. This is not 1981. This is not 1982. This is 2023. This is not a laughing matter. But you see, this morning, my brother decided to play politics, as usual, with a very revered institution of this republic, that's chieftaincy, by making a very reckless comment on this show that, H. John Dramani Mahama, the funeral of the late Yabonwura, he's nowhere to be found. Bayo, stop doing this. You have matured in this communication thing. The third day Aduya of the late Yabongura, JM led the team together with Haruna Idrisu. Our MP for Fufoso, the solar area, sorry. These things have been done. So don't do that. Stop the propaganda. That said, I want to applaud the good people of Gonja land. They have done something so unique. The seamless manner in which they have gotten a replacement for the late Yabongura should be something that we should highly commend them for. And on this note, I want to congratulate His Royal Majesty, Hiram Mbema Abonifa Burenya the first,
of the
new Yabongura. And I'm confident, per Gonja tradition, you know, he's supposed to actually perform the funeral, the final funeral of, and in that particular funeral, H.E. John Dramani Mahama
represent.
Once again will be there. At least on the third day, Aduya, he was there, and I'm in the camera. In fact, he spoke at that event. So stop that reckless comment.
Just to add
at least if you cannot be accurate.
All right.
Just to add this something that from the north, we have it that it is the corpse that rots, but not the funeral.
All right.
And so at any point in time, anyone that wants to go for a funeral, you can attend.
So
and the funeral.
So
I think that he attended the first.
The third one.
Third
you
day
knew it.
Adua.
Why are you doing this?
I saw that he attended the third day Adua.
All right.
The seventh day Adua, he was not there.
That's where Nado went.
Can I?
What is
and
that?
I think that it was with good reason that within the same period, he had some engagements to help our kid brothers, Nigerians, to shape their, I keep
they
telling
won't be happy.
Now they know. Anytime I meet them, I tell them that Ghana was born before Nigeria.
But I even said that.
And so he was attending a very, as part of it. And in fact, on the third day, I recall that he made a pronouncement that he's a royal of Dabong, of Gonja land, and that he had come.
He didn't attend the seventh day Adua.
But seventh day is not anything. The most important.
No, it's a fact. I'm stating
that
he's a royal who did not attend the seventh day Adua.
He cannot attend every.
I know.
Okay. All right.
I'm just stating the
I'm
fact.
just praying that you attend all the funerals in the
I cannot.
constituency.
Okay, gentlemen.